Welcome to the Phoenix Podcast, hosted by Marta Minor, with guests who have walked through fire and emerged stronger than ever. Let their stories light up your way. Welcome to the new edition, which will be hosted just by myself, Marta Minor. We did have a previous edition hosted with Ushi Patel, and we had great conversations, and it was a very good launching ground for this podcast because I wanted to show people amazing conversations that can happen between two women that are going through a lot of different things in their lives, and they're growing through it together, supporting each other, and what the conversation looks like when you're sharing it with like-minded individuals. This season will be a little bit different. This season will be me doing a podcast and sharing some of my life and some of the lessons that I've learned recently going through major life transition. It will also be a lot of interviews to inspire people as to how you move from the ashes that you found yourself to be in, such as a major life event. Maybe you went through a divorce. Maybe you're going through a major financial setback. Maybe there's something wrong with your health. Maybe you lost somebody in your life. There's a lot of things that happen to us. And the stories that I've heard from so many people are just so inspiring of how you can move through that grief, through that pain, through not wanting to get up every morning and keep going with life. You can go past that and create something amazing. And that is why we named the podcast Ashes to Love, because I believe in love. I believe in happy endings. I believe in goodness. I believe that out of something very challenging, something very beautiful can happen and emerge and change you, change your life, and change actually trajectory of your whole family, your friends, everybody. So this podcast will be more on reflection on how these challenges, how the difficult setbacks are happening in your life to actually transform you. A lot of times we think it's happening to us, but I believe that life is happening for us. Life is actually happening to, and some of the things are challenging and difficult. I'm not saying they're not. I'm going through a lot of difficult things, but what's emerging out of that is something very beautiful and something that I would have not been able to come to. I would have not been able to become a person that I am becoming if I didn't have these setbacks. So this podcast is all about showing you the path, showing you the way, interviews with people that have gone through hell and came on the other side much better. And they're not bitter. They're not angry for what happened to them. Life will always happen. It's how we respond to it is whether we're going to make something beautiful out of it or not, or we can dwell in our victim mentality. We can dwell in our pain for a very long time and never move past that, or we can redirect this pain and create something amazing. This podcast will be a lot of me sharing my aha moments, a lot of me sharing, because I've been on a journey like no other. And I've been on this journey for many years. I've transformed many times in my life, but the newer version that's being created right now. I'm still in the process of it. I've changed a lot, but there's still a lot ahead of me because my goals are so big. And I believe that the bigger your vision for your life and for yourself, the bigger the breakdown. Because in order to create this beautiful picture that you have in your head, you have to collapse everything that you currently are that's not matching that vision. So if you see yourself way over there, but you're operating still with the same mentality, same people around you, same habits, same mindset, all of that stuff is the same, you can never get to the next version. You have to transform into a different person. And that transformation, unfortunately, sometimes feels painful. And it's just like giving birth. Giving birth is not the prettiest thing. It's not seamless. It does involve pain, uncomfortableness. There's a lot of things that we wish were not included in giving birth. Yet out of that emerges something most important, beautiful. I've never heard of a woman saying that I regret giving birth, because at the end of it, the beauty that emerges from giving birth is everything. And a lot of times in our life, that's exactly what happens. It's not comfortable. It pushes us out of our comfort zone. It challenges us to become a different person. It makes you have sleepless nights wondering if it's all worth it. It sometimes makes you feel like maybe you're crazy. Maybe you don't want to go to the other side. Maybe you just you're okay standing where you are. But I will tell you that I've had these doubts, but I'm always led by my spirit and by inner voice. And once you connect with your inner voice, you know that there is no option to go back. There is no option because your inner voice is not going to let you do it. It will continue. And Oprah has this beautiful illustration of how she believes life happens. She said at the beginning, you have a tiny little pebble that's being thrown at you, just like a little ding. Pay attention, pay attention. You're not on the right path. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Your outside may look like, yeah, it's all put together, but on the inside, your soul is crying because it's wanting to emerge into the bigger version. It wants you to be a different person. If you ignore the little pebbles that are being thrown at you, a bigger rock will hit. And then if you ignore that, eventually, she said, a boulder comes down and crushes you. And a lot of times that's what happens when we ignore the inner voice, when we ignore that instinct that tells us something is wrong. I'm not supposed to be going down that path. The longer you ignore it, the more you get used to it. You get used to it being status quo. Okay, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm just used to it. It's comfortable being uncomfortable. You get used to that state of being. Unfortunately, or fortunately, actually, fortunately, I would say, when something is meant for you, when there's a bigger version of you that's supposed to emerge, life will redirect you on the right path. It happens to a lot of people. A lot of times I hear stories when somebody says, I had to get cancer before I stepped away from my career or from whatever was happening in my life. And in the process of healing, I also healed my inner self, not just the physical cancer. And that's when I changed my career. And that's when I started following my passion. It happens when something big and massive hits us. And it looks sometimes like it's an obstacle, but it's not. I think we live in a society where we don't even take a breath anymore, sit down and relax and go inward. A lot of us are just like go getters, hustle. There's life, there's work, there's kids, there's obligations, there's friendships, there's this and that. And you don't ever stop and pause to think about, am I really on the right path? Am I following my own passions, or am I just being a version of myself that maybe I decided on when I was 17, or maybe my mom had that version in mind? We don't really pay attention often, only when you go inwards or when you start observing your life and see that it's falling apart. Those are the signs to say, okay, let's take a look and let's see if I'm really truly happy. Am I happy with the person I am, with the life that I've created, with the people that are surrounding me? Or am I just status quo, just like surviving? I think life is too beautiful to be in a surviving state at all times. I was surviving for a very long time until I realized that I don't want to live like this anymore. I just don't want to be in a survival. Even though everything on the outside looks like my life is all handled. Like there's really nothing that somebody from the outside could come and point out like, oh yeah, like you need to change that part. It was just not authentic to who I am. This was just not my life. I was living somebody else's life. And I was very unhappy. And it got to the point that I'm like, I just can't continue this way. And thank God I have a child, because that child always gave me a reason to get up, wake up, and continue. She was my wake up call in a way, because I didn't know how to go on anymore. Like, not in a way like I'm going to commit suicide, but I would just lay in bed and watch TV. Like, I was just like, I don't know. I don't feel any point of existence. I don't know what the next version of me is. That's how I felt for a very long time. And I was very much functional in that because I was a mom and I had to take care of my child. So I went through the motions and did everything a mom should do. And I did it very well. But in the process, I lost myself. I didn't know how to be me anymore. I was going through a lot of difficult challenges in my life, a marriage that was not very happy and just very unfulfilling. I was going through being separated from friends that I love, living in a city that I don't like, and missing my work, actually, missing my contribution to the world. I have never gone maybe longer than a week without having a job. And all of a sudden, I found myself being a wife, a housewife, taking care of kids, my kids and stepkids, and taking care of everything, the bills, and making investments for the family and doing all of that. And that was great, but it wasn't me. It wasn't my passion. I'm capable of doing that. I am capable of doing just about anything. I'm a woman of very many talents. So just because I was doing it, it looked like everything is functioning very well. But on the inside, I felt like I was drowning in not being myself. It showed up in visibly in the way I looked, in the way how I felt, in lack of confidence. I lost all my self-confidence, even though you would think on the outside I had it all. I had a child, I had a handsome husband, I had a beautiful house, beautiful car, lived in the best guarded community in the city where we lived. Everything was perfect on the outside, except for I was not authentically myself on the inside, and none of it was making me happy. No amount of money, no amount of anything that you can buy can ever substitute for living your life authentically and walking in a path that is meant to be yours. So when things started to fall apart, they were actually coming together. I am still not finished with the journey. I can't say that I am 100% the woman that I've envisioned myself to be, because my visions are so big and so scary that it almost like sometimes I wonder, like, how did that come to me? Why do I have to be tortured with this vision? Can I just be me as is? Obviously, I cannot, because my visions are extremely big and they've always been there ever since I was a little girl. So for some, maybe not a little girl, me as a little girl living in Poland, I remember always thinking that I'm going to live in America. That was one part of it. And then as life continued and unfolded, I started having much greater visions of my life and of myself. But people just think that it's like a 1 month process. It's not. To shake the personality that you've developed, to shake the who you are and how you operate in this world, it takes a big transformation. It takes a lot of steps. And especially when you're a mom, a busy mom, and you have your child as your number one priority, you don't have as much time to work on it maybe as when I was single and only had my job to worry about. All my free time could be spent on self-development, reflection, writing, journaling, meditating, going to retreats. Right now, it's a slower process because I have much bigger responsibilities, yet the process is beautiful. I can easily say right now that if I stayed in a place where I was, let's say, even 2 years ago, I would have been extremely unhappy. But because the decision was made for me and a lot of things I couldn't help, they just happened, everything started falling apart. Friendships, marriage, family relationships, even relationships with my family that I always thought will be solid, everything started disintegrating. And I was left with pretty much being by myself. Okay. So you have you. You have you. You always have you. You can always work on yourself. You can become the best version that you're proud of, that you want to present to the world, that you want to inspire other people to become. It's possible. Just do it. So I've been doing it for the past few years, and it is definitely a journey that eventually I'll share more details about. But I do want to encourage all the listeners that are going through transitions or something challenging in their life, that it is possible to come out on the other side happy, healthy. I don't know. I feel better. I feel better in my skin. I look better. I feel more vibrant. And it's still happening at the same time as I still have a lot of challenges currently happening in my life. But I figured out how to continue my growth despite of the challenges. So I chose the path to lighten up the path that I want to walk on versus put all the attention and all the spotlight on the path that's ending and is very challenging and uncomfortable. I try not to spend too much time in that. I try not to spend any time in victim mentality. Now, the thoughts are there. The thoughts will always come to you and remind you of what is your current situation, your current habits. Sometimes you may even want to respond in a similar way, right? Because you're so used to your reactions, how you react to life, to people, to situations. Your fear sometimes leads the way. But if you turn your attention into possibilities and start living out of possibilities, your life transforms. It happens step by step. For some people, it's an instant transformation. And for others, it takes a little bit of time. But the journey is what I'm now seeing is where gold is. So obviously, I have goals for myself to become this and make this much money and live in this kind of house and live this kind of lifestyle. But I've let go of 80% of that to concentrate on the journey, because the journey is so beautiful and so surprising and such a miracle. And you can see how your life is transforming in front of your eyes, how you're starting to attract different people, different situations, different. A good example of that is I have a au pair right now that constantly, she came from Poland, she moved from Poland, she's with us for a year. And she thinks that what is happening in my life is normal in America because she's observing my current life and my high vibrations and what is happening. And she's, wow, people in America are this way. Doctors act this way. I'm like, no, I don't think that's a common thing. You just came in at the time where I'm vibrating at such a high level and such amazing things are happening in my life that it's happening often and it looks like it's normal. Like, to give an example, my dog got very sick a few weeks ago out of nowhere. She was diagnosed with cancer. She was my beautiful giant schnauzer girl, super loving, devoted, beautiful pup. We thought she has at least 5 more years in her. We prayed, me and my daughter pray every single night that she lives with us till she's at least 15. She was only 7 and she got diagnosed with cancer. And it happened so quickly that within 1 week, we had to put her down. Within 1 week, it went so fast. So during that period, I was sick. Like, I just got some cold. I had to go to the doctor. And I told the doctor, oh my gosh, it's so hard being really sick. Like, I was so sick, I could not take care of my dying dog. I was in bed. That hardly ever happens to me. I was in bed, laying there, could not even eat or drink or barely swallow, very sick. And when I told the doctor, it's so hard to be sick. And then on top of that, my dog is sick and I may have to put her down next week. I've never met this doctor. It was like a random doctor that I've never been to. 2 days later, I get humongous $100 worth of bouquet of flowers sent to my house. And I'm like, who sent me flowers? What is going on? I thought maybe one of my friends who knows that I'm going through it. No, it was from a random doctor that I've never met, with a beautiful card in it. How much she wishes me all the best. And she's so sad that I'm going through it. And my au pair is, do doctors always send you flowers here in America? I'm like, not that I've ever experienced that. And I've been here for over 20 years. I have never received flowers from any doctor. And then the same thing happened when I canceled my membership with the dog food provider. Like, it's just a random online website. I said, I'm sorry, I have to discontinue my subscription. My dog just passed away. I head out to the event last weekend and my au pair said, hey, you got flowers. I said, oh, it's probably for my birthday because it was my birthday weekend. And I said, just can you read the card to me? And she said, it's from your team at Chewy. We're so sorry for your loss. I'm like, another person that I don't know send me flowers for my dog. They can't, there's no way they're sending flowers to everybody. Like, their business would be flower business. It's never happened to me before. A card that I received from my vet, who, yeah, I've taken Kona there for a few years, but we didn't go frequently, once a year maybe. I got an individually signed card by every member of that hospital with a little story of what they thought about Kona and how she made them feel. They send me that kind of card. And I'm like, there you go. That's not the norm that I used to experience. Let's put it this way. But when you're vibrating at a higher level, when you are happy about your life, when you have gratitude, when you have love, when you replaced fear with love and anger, frustration, hate, revenge, all of that has been replaced with feelings of possibility, love, kindness to others. That is what happens to me now on a regular basis. That's not the only two doctors that have sent me stuff. There's many other doctors, which is shocking to me. That's why she thinks doctors in America send flowers to people. I'm like, no, it's something about my vibration that all of a sudden people want to send me flowers. It's very odd, but it's beautiful. And I know this is just the beginning. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We have not even gotten, my vision is so big that we have not even gotten anywhere on the vicinity yet of what I'm trying to do in my life. But those are the signs. When you have these signs in your life, when you start seeing coincidences, which I don't believe them in them, I believe that those are reminders to tell you are on the right path. I pay attention to numbers a lot. So I see at 1111 is pretty much the number I see all the time. There's 222, 1111, 111. I see them everywhere I look. If you have a bird that represents to you, like you can even ask your inner self, please show me a sign. And I want that sign to be whatever, a bird, an animal or something. For me, it's hummingbird. I went on vacation recently. The house that I walked into, the Airbnb, on the very front door, there were hummingbirds all over in the design of the house. And on top of that, I was sitting on the patio. A hummingbird flew in front of me and just sat there for a little bit and just sat there in front of my face. And I saw them all over the place that week. And it's not to say that they don't live there, so that's why they show up, but that was my sign, right? That's what I'm looking for. And he came to say, yes, you are on the right path. You are heading in the right direction. And that is what will start happening when you walk on the path that's yours. When you leave the path behind that is not yours, that is maybe something that you're just used to or you think you have to be doing, and you step into the unknown, step into the scary, the stories that I'm going to share with you guys sometime in the future. They're very scary paths to go into the unknown. But if you just follow your instinct and your soul, you will be guided. You will be told exactly what to do. You will be directed to the path that's yours. And it stops being scary when you start getting little signs and affirmations that you are doing the right thing. So I'm starting to get them from every single thing. People that show up in my life, it makes me laugh. It's just almost funny because when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, and they're appearing for me with the exact message that I need to do next in my life. I am meeting people that if I have a struggle with something, all of a sudden I meet a coach in that area and they become my friend. And I'm like, that's really random. I love you as a person, but you could have been a baker or you could have been a figure skating person. I don't know, whatever, something. But why are you a coach for something that I need help with? And that is exactly how law of attraction and the power of stepping into your path looks like. You will be guided. People will be sending you random. I had a friend send me a random message with, hey, this is like some YouTube video that I watched. And how often do you get that from your friends? And do you actually follow up and watch it? Because I actually did. And I found my next mentor through that. And that's just how it opens up. Look at every person that comes into your life as what are they trying to show you? Because this is your life. This is your life. You're the main actor in your life. Stop paying attention to other people to compare yourself to them. Start thinking, these people are showing up in my life to show me the path to how I can be as well, to show me inspiration. A lot of times when we go to events, like people compare themselves, right? Oh, wow, but she's already in this business and she's doing that. And I feel so small. Or she's a mom and she has all of it together. Look at me. My life is a mess. These people show up in your life to show you a path. If you start looking from that perspective, it's not intimidating anymore to look at them or pay attention, and you don't feel bad feelings towards yourself. You can look at them and see how it's possible for them. And they're showing up for me, which means they're just giving me guidance that it is possible for me. It is possible. If they can do it, I can do it. If they can be that kind of a mom, I can be that kind of a mom. If they can have a business that was created out of nothing, I can have the same business. So start paying attention to your life in that way instead of comparison. If you see a friend that just bought a new car, think to yourself, that is a sign. If you're seeing it, that is coming to you. That is possible for you. You can have what other people have. You just have to step in on your path, be your true, authentic self. So this was just like an episode I wanted to share with you guys which direction the podcast is heading, which direction the conversations are heading, what type of guests I would like to have on my podcast is people that are authentic, that have gone through difficult challenges and emerge stronger, better. Actually, the people that I've met, a lot of them have gone through being an average person with average life that they're unhappy with to something tragic happened to them. And they've skyrocketed into, I don't know how many levels, not even 10x levels, 100x levels. That is what's possible when you step in to your true version of yourself. So thank you guys for listening. I hope I see you next time at this podcast. You can visit me also at Ashes to Love on Instagram. I would love to hear your story. I would love to see what you're struggling with and what your vision for your future is. I used to be in leadership, and I always told people, you can come to me with problems all day long as you are seeking solutions and not here just to complain. I love to hear other people's stories, but I don't want to concentrate on the pain part of the story, on the what is difficult about it. I want to see out of this, what can come to you that's beautiful. What are you looking for in your life out of this tragedy or something that happened that is really bad? How are you trying to transform that? What are you trying to grow into? What is your vision for yourself? I love to hear those stories. So if you have one, please reach out, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for listening to the Phoenix Podcast. We appreciate your support. We would not be here without you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider sharing it with your friends or family members who might benefit from it as well. And please don't forget to leave us a review. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.